Hello, humans. Thanks for being here with us. You're about to listen to yet another installment of the Call Kevin podcast.
It's the Call Kevin podcast. It's the podcast of your dreams. It's the Call Kevin podcast. Calling, asking things. Podcast Kevin with Call Kevin. Here's Kevin and Lydia.
Hello, Lydia. Thanks for joining me yet again.
Thank you. I wouldn't be anywhere else. I love it here.
You do?
I do. I'm having a good time. This is fun.
Yeah, me too.
This is what we normally do sitting on my couch with a glass of wine.
No microphones.
No microphones.
That would be weird.
But we do oddly sit around with headphones on for some reason.
Noise cancellation. We're both very sensitive to noise. No, we're not. We're sensitive to our emotions.
That's true.
Tuning in to how we feel.
And how other people feel.
Yes.
We're people.
That's why we're taking calls and fixing the world's problems.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm good. My year is wrapping up. I did 50 cities this year.
That's crazy.
I know. And since we're talking about that, I think by the time this airs, I maybe only will have one show left in Michigan City, Indiana on December 16th. But we are adding a ton of new shows for 2023. I'm going to the UK. One show already sold out. Did I tell you that?
Oh my gosh, no.
Yep. And then we've added 2 shows in Scotland.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm crazy excited about it.
And also, you've been working on new material and doing some workshopping at Zany's here and are going to go on the road with a brand new show,
Yeah.
right?
If you saw my show last year, the show in 2023 will be a brand new show, so you can come again.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Excited to work on it.
Me too. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we dive into the show?
Well, there seems to be an extra human being in the room.
What?
There is. I don't know if you've noticed or not.
I have noticed. Today we have a special guest, you guys, on the show today. My friend, Quin Lamar. Yeah. What if we just lost our minds right now screaming?
And that would be like, Quin.
I would love that.
Yeah.
It'll make up for my mother not hugging me. Thank you.
Oh.
But thank you for having me here. This is fun.
Yeah. Quin actually flew in this weekend for one of my shows at Zany's.
Yes.
And I'm glad this worked out for you to join us on the show today.
I've been wanting to come ever since I knew you had a podcast. You came onto my podcast.
Yeah.
So it seems only fair, you know?
Yep. Out on the road last year, Quin has been on my show multiple times.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Great crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
And probably will join more shows for 2023, I hope.
I hope so too.
Yeah. Well, Quin, here on the Call Kevin podcast, we have the Call Kevin hotline. It's 323-364-0881.
323-364-0881.
That's catchy.
Yeah, right. I wanted it to be like one of those old school radio jingles. But you can call it, leave a question or comment. We'll answer it on a future episode.
I'll also guarantee you when you lay down to go to sleep at night, you'll start singing it in your head. It's
I believe
very, very catchy.
I also love how the death by breadsticks comes to me randomly. Especially if I'm eating breadsticks, which happens quite often.
Yeah. Do you eat breadsticks a lot? Just
way more than the government probably would like. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Oh, but breadsticks.
Brad
Pitts?
No.
Breadsticks are so delicious.
So delicious.
We should all eat them all the time.
I mean, carbs.
right.
Right, exactly. Nothing wrong with a little carb loading.
No, not at all.
If you've been to my show, you know I worked at Olive Garden for 5 years. And that's where the breadstick obsession comes from for me.
5 years at Olive Garden.
5 years. That's way too long.
That's like a tour of duty almost.
Yes, it was.
That's like the longest job you've ever had, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Like official job.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Stand-up doesn't count.
Stand-up does not count. That's not a job.
It's not a job.
Are you guys ready to take some calls today?
I'm here for it. I'm in it. Let's do it.
Let's hear our first caller.
Let's take some calls.
Hi, Kevin. This is Rebecca calling from Harson's Island, Michigan. I may have missed it, but I've been wondering who Lydia is. I'd love to hear an introduction and backstory of Lydia. I feel like I already know you from your TikToks. Shamala hamala. Bye.
Who is Lydia?
Who are you, Lydia? Why are you here?
How long do we have?
That's a deep question for anyone.
I know, right? I think I have to sit here and think about it. This is okay. So I thought about this today. This is crazy. You and I have known each other 21 years.
Wow.
How is that possible?
I know, so considering we're only like in our early 20s.
I know. We met in the womb.
Whoa.
We're actually
Babies.
separated at birth.
We were babies.
We're babies in the crib together. No, but we met doing theater.
Yes.
And then shortly after that, we both worked for Repertory Theater at Sea. And we went on a 6-star cruise ship together and sailed like all over the world.
We did. We went to like 20 countries.
Yeah, it was amazing. And that's when I think our friendship really kind of settled in. We've driven across country before. Yeah. We've traveled together. And then we've collaborated a lot. So the very first time you were like, I'm going to write a one-man show, I remember I was in Santa Cruz. I can remember exactly like where I was and started talking about this sort of storytelling that you wanted to do. So I've worked with you helping kind of, build formula, build arc, just kind of piece things together, worked on the show that you're doing now.
Yeah.
And so, but we've also just, I don't know, we spent a lot of time together. Like I said earlier, we sit on my couch and drink wine and solve the problems of the world.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Yeah.
And don't worry, Quinn, not all the questions are going to be like this. You're like, I don't know how to input.
I don't know how to. I don't know who Lydia is. So
well,
You're learning right
I'm
now.
learning
Yeah.
now.
We thought we should start with that question because we did just sort of launch into this new season of Call Kevin, and you just appeared.
yeah, out of nowhere.
Yeah. So we've known each other a long time. When I started this show, I wanted it to have more of a conversational feel and not just me by myself. So I thought you'd just be the perfect co-host.
Thank you. Well, it's been great. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to see the show continue to grow and move forward and have fabulous guests. Like
I'm already a
Quinn.
fan of Lydia.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Quinn.
you people are lucky.
Maybe it'll be called Quinn and Lydia before you know it.
I just got cut out completely. Since we're talking about Quinn, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Who am I?
Who are you?
Oh boy. Let's see. I am a Detroit native, so shout out to her from Michigan. I heard that. I don't know. What can I say? I'm a comedian. I'm an actor. I live in Brooklyn. I'm struggling like most people in Brooklyn. That's not really who I am, though, right? Who am I?
You immediately went to your apartment. You're so.
There's a reason why in a Broadway show about people dying from a disease like HIV and AIDS, it's called Rent.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's called Rent, because that is what it's all about. I'm just a creative. I'm just out here trying to do what I can do. I had a very unique upbringing. I was like, raised by two very extremely African-American people in a completely white community, to the point where my parents were almost like immigrants because it was such a foreign world to them. And so like I've tried to on stage kind of put that through and like talk about that. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And that's like a big part of who I am. And other than that, I like to eat. Meat and potatoes and breadsticks.
Back to the breadsticks.
It probably will be death by breadsticks for me.
Good.
Quinn, I love your perspective, and I think you've got such a unique voice. It's why I love having you on my shows. And if you come out to any shows in the future where Quinn is there, you have a uniquely you point of view.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I love when people say that in a good way.
Yeah, well, I meant that in a good way.
I'd also like to say thank you to Rebecca for caring and wanting to know who I was. So,
yeah,
I appreciate that.
I just kind of blasted forward. But I have this, there's something I have noticed this about myself. I like to bring things back to myself on the show. Most people want to hear essential information. And I'm usually in most like movies or I'm fine without essential information.
You just want the
Quite honestly, we could have started this show and you were just there, and for no reason, I would have been fine with that.
And here we are.
Just a roll with the flow kind of guy, Kevin.
Well, me too. I mean, yeah. I think that's where we kind of vibe. Like that's why it's so fun working with Kevin. It's like it's free. Like I feel like very free to like do different things. It's so much fun. Like it's a vibe.
Yeah. And then since we're at this moment, can I just ask you guys, have you accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as your personal savior?
Just me?
No, both of you. No, I'm just kidding.
Is it personal?
Yeah.
Do I have to share it?
We said no subjects off topic. So there you go. Let's take another call.
Let's do it.
Hi, Kevin. This is Jenny calling from Richmond, Virginia, and I don't have a question, but I just had to tell you that I, too, just recently had a bone graft on one of my teeth, and they put me to sleep to have the bone graft, and I was also very curious about this, and I said, oh, it's the closest I'll ever come to having a vestigial twin, and maybe I'll wake up and be able to play the violin or speak Russian, and they also got very solemn in the room as soon as I said that and just told me, ma'am, we guarantee this is 100% USA cadaver. There are no foreign bones in this. And I just thought that was hilarious and interesting. Anyway, thanks for sharing your Tammy story. I think about it a lot. Ciao.
Oh, Jenny and I would be best friends because I'm all about an unborn twin.
What do you mean you're all about it?
I'm fascinated with the idea of an unborn twin. I've always wanted one. A couple of times I thought maybe something on my body was. Unfortunately, I've never had one, but it's something that actually happens. And I had a friend who had a very interesting thing come up on his back, and it kind of got worse and worse, and they eventually had to take it out. And when they did, it was a little round thing, and it had a tuft of hair and a fingernail.
Oh, my God.
It was an unborn twin.
That's
Really?
It happens. Like two eggs get fertilized, and one of them sort of ends up enveloping the other one, and that egg never really matures, although it might grow a tuft of hair and a fingernail, but it's inside the twin that...
And you just might never know that.
And you might
it's
never
there.
know that it's there.
Wow. I've definitely felt like I'm caring enough to be two people. I've never thought about that. I like that she told those people that. I feel like she got a nice slice of what it's like to be a comedian when you're not on the stage. You make a joke and people just think you're crazy.
Yeah.
They give you a logical answer.
She was referring, if you're not sure, because that might seem way out of left field, I have a story that I have told where I had to have a tooth pulled. This is just like a year ago, a little over a year ago, I guess. It was during the pandemic. Does it seem like a lot of people had to have a tooth pulled during the pandemic? I feel like I know 5 people who did. Mm-hmm. I had to have a tooth pulled. It's really the first time I've had anything like that done before. And they gave me a bone graft from a cadaver, is what they said. Or not from a cadaver. That sounds like it was right there, and they just
like
pulled
grave digging.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
No, like it was like taken from another person. They stuck it in my face.
Who's still alive, or is this person no longer living?
I assumed it would be someone who was no longer living, but I now know that they have live bone donor tissue. Yeah.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yep. Someone said that they had like hip surgery or something, and they donated the bone.
Oh, I have heard of that.
Yeah.
I think my grandmother got that. Yeah.
Okay. So you could get someone, maybe the person's bone I have in my face.
See, I was about to say I didn't know you could get it in your mouth. So I don't know which one is worse, but
Jenny, I'm sorry. We're trying to answer your question, and it's just going downhill.
Well, I think Jenny just wanted to share with us.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I love that they told her that there's no foreign bones in this. Like that would be a bad thing. Would you want a little piece of French bone in you? I don't know. Again.
Why are we doing this now?
Oh, no. Oh, Jenny, thank you. Maybe we should take another question. Okay. We're ready.
Okay, Lydia, I see you.
Hi, Kevin and Lydia. My name is Nick. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. I love the podcast.
Thank you.
Y'all are both awesome.
She can't hear you.
I guess my question is, I don't know, maybe I'm just having an existential moment, but do you ever wonder if anyone feels truly happy? Like, what amount of time, like, what's the ratio for the rest of your life that you experience happiness that equates to overall happiness? Like, once a day, once a week, once a month, once a year? Like, I don't know. This seems like a depressing question. I was originally going to call and ask about your tattoos, but I think I'm just having a bit of a moment. Anyway, I was just curious about your insight on that. Hope y'all are both doing well. Keep it up. Really loving the podcast. Y'all are great. Thanks.
I think that's a great question.
I do too, Nick. I'm glad that's the question you went with and not the tattoos.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, what does it mean to be happy? I think that's something that we all spend time thinking about. And I think for me, I always feel like that happiness is self-induced, that you have to seek it out. You have to realize what does make you happy. You have to surround yourself with people that make you happy. That was a big life lesson for me, especially when I was living in LA. Like, I call them energy vampires, but if you're around people who are just taking and taking and taking, and you're sort of never getting anything back from them, I learned it was hard, but to sort of, to rid my life of those people and try to surround my people who make me laugh and who make me happy and, who will be there in good times and bads. But I think happiness is something that has to be curated and sought out. And I would hope that most of us spend, I don't know, Quinn, what percentage of your life would you say that you're really happy?
Well, first off, I think you're absolutely right about the happiness is something you have to pursue. I recently became a Buddhist, probably about 6 months ago, and a big part of Buddhism is realizing that you have to be the changes that you want. You take responsibility for what's going on in your life, but that is what leads you to happiness. And being a happy person makes you an overall better person because you treat people better when you're happy. So for me, I found that coming off of the pandemic, which was tough for everybody, that I go back to my great grandmother lived to be 106. And before she passed away, I asked her, like, how do you know you're doing okay in life? Like, what advice would you give yourself if you were my age? And she said that no matter what's going on in your life, if you love people and they know you love them, you're doing all right in life. That's what you're supposed to do. And that's how I judge what makes me happy. The people that I love, I make sure they know that I love them, even if it's like, corny or difficult. And that makes me happy to be able to do that and have that with people.
Yeah, and it makes them happy, and I think it's just exponential.
Yeah, it's a
It all
circle
just
of
grows.
happiness, but it's not easy to maintain that. And how happy is happy enough? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Also, bringing up the pandemic, I think they're saying that they're feeling very existential crisis, and I think a lot of people coming out of the last 2 years are that. It's an interesting way to put it. Like, what percentage of your day or week, like how much happiness is enough happiness?
yeah.
I would say most of my younger years mostly unhappy. And I was so focused on the wrong stuff. I was so full of this is very Buddhist. I was so focused on ambition and simultaneously unhappy. And I think I kept telling myself that happiness would come later. Happiness would come after I succeeded. And a big part of Buddhism is to sort of let go of ambition and sort of pull yourself into this like singular present moment.
The universe, yeah.
Yeah. And it took me a long time to learn how to do that.
I think that you just said something that's so important too, and especially for those of us who work in a creative field, but for anybody, like, your life is right now, and whatever happens today, that's your life, and you have to make it the best you can and find the happiness. Because if you just live your entire life waiting for, I'm going to have a big moment or a big break or whatever, years of your life can go by. And I think that's true for anybody. I think the pandemic made us all take a deep breath and stop and slow down a little bit
Absolutely.
and realize, like, hey, you have to make the most out of today.
Yeah. The truest things in life become sentences that are easy to brush off. Do you know what I mean? It's like they become cliches because they're so true.
Live, laugh, love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
Right.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just that, like, happiness is in the simple things today, and be in this moment. And those are all, like, they're so profoundly true. They're almost easy to just be like, oh yeah, of course. But
My favorite one from my grandmother, and I think about this to this day, she always said, disappointment grows in the garden of expectation. That it's your expectation of how something should be that disappoints you, not the actual thing. And I think that's been a big life lesson for me, is to try to understand the difference between what my expectations of any given situation are and what the reality is, and accepting the reality of the situation.
yeah.
That's very true.
And it's so like the American dream leads us astray, because it makes us, it plants this idea that everything is ambition and success driven, and happiness will come with success and the job. And, and we've come to expect all these things that really don't make us happy.
They don't.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's ever, like, gotten a diagnosis about not having a lot of time left and thought, wow, I wish I worked more.
Right.
I wish I was
Right.
wish I had more money. Like, nobody
Yeah.
thinks that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true. All right. Thank you for the question, Nick.
Yes.
We appreciate you.
Now for some advertising.
Hello, everybody. My name is Terrell, aka Minty Bongwater, and I am here to talk about my tea brand, Minty. I have 5 different kinds of tea that are hand blended with a lot of love and intention. I have a mango hibiscus tea, blueberry coconut, apple cinnamon, pina colada, and watermelon mint. All of these teas can be purchased at mintybongwater.com/tea. Once again, that's mintybongwater.com/tea.
Let's take some calls.
Hi, Kevin. This is Jessie from Kansas City. My biggest question has been, how do you deal with any regret over leaving the church? I'm an ex-evangelical as well, and sometimes I have just sadness over losing all my friends and not really having a home group of people to hang out with. And I just didn't know if you had any of those pangs or feelings of just missing having a set group of friends. I know it was the right decision for my family to leave the church, but it's just, there's this lingering sadness. I love your TikToks. I love your podcast. And I wish nothing but joy and love and light to you and your life. Thanks so much for everything you do.
Hey, Jesse, thank you for calling. And I absolutely understand the sadness that you were talking about. It's, if you didn't go through, it's a hard thing to describe, leaving not just a religion, but like leaving a community that was your whole existence, and like a belief system and a worldview. Even when you know you have to do it, there's a real sadness of, it's more than just like leaving home or like moving to a new city. It's like the people you loved are removed from you in a deeper way. It's hard to describe, but I understand it for sure. I don't feel it anymore because time passed, and time did its thing. Time heals all wounds. That's another cliche, but I think that's true. It was for me. For me, that was in my early 20s. So a long time ago for me. A lot of time has passed, but I remember that sadness. I think time just has to do its thing.
Did you find yourself seeking things to fill that gap in your life or that hole in your life?
Unintentionally. I mean, I wasn't aware of it at the time. I was young, and when I look back now at like the feeling I was carrying around inside of me, it was big and heavy, you know? But when I was going through it, I think I filled the void with becoming obsessed with a successful career. That's what I filled it with. I think something inside of me was like, if I prove myself, if I get a record deal, if I get a Netflix special, then, you know, I've shown somebody.
And that would have been amazing because Netflix didn't even exist at that
Right.
point. So you would have actually not only invented
time
Netflix,
travel, yes.
Yeah, you would have Netflix. That's true.
But I know you'd be like rich right
Yeah,
now.
that would have filled the void. Let's be honest.
That would have been enough.
Yeah.
I'm not, I didn't grow up religious that way, but I can say, as a gay man, like there is I wasn't supposed to be gay. I was supposed to play football. I was supposed to do all these things, and it didn't work out that way. And I found, and it could be the same for the caller, that you have a chosen family. Like you find those people, like those connections. Deep connections don't go away because people go away. Like they will always be there. It's just a different form, and time will make that happen.
Yeah.
I think you were probably lucky too, because I know for myself, when I left home and left college, which I think is not the same as having to leave a religion and a church. I realize, but it's still a time of sort of finding your new path, and going into a theater department is really a great way to do that. And I'm wondering, like, if you sort of moved from that into the theater department, that sort of became your...
Oh, me specifically.
You
yes.
specifically. I mean, it did for me, leaving home, like going into a theater department made that leap much better.
I see what you mean. Like, because what my story is, I left my town and went to college and majored in musical theaters, which was its own kind of community.
It definitely is.
Yeah. Why'd you say it like that?
I married a musical theater person, so
Okay. God, yeah. There you go.
So
I know how that goes.
Yeah. So maybe that's maybe putting yourself in a place where there is a new community.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, not that it needs to be a theater community, but some other community that has a common thing that everyone is working toward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the connection. You are valuable. You will be loved. Don't ever doubt that.
Also, there are church communities that are not super conservative fundamentalist communities. There's more, there are, my parents go to a church that is very focused on community service. It's not like some weird judgmental community, they do good things, and they go every Sunday morning, and they're a part of this thing, and it's done with not all the terrible stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe there's that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe seek that out. I do think seeking out a community or a group, or I always like to call it a tribe of like-minded people, that seems like that would be a nice step towards healing.
Yeah.
And sort of feeling that void in your life.
See, we did it. We solved everything.
It was good. We went around the back way, but we got back. We got back to a solution. Let's take another call.
Let's do it.
Hey, Kevin. This is Virginia from Oregon City, Oregon. First of all, thank you for the amazing content. You make me literally LOL all the time, as my friends do as well. My question is for someone with a high stressful job, or just a very heavy job, emotional trauma, that kind of thing. A lot of first responders in the area and everything they deal with. What do you use to keep yourself happy during seasonal affective disorder? We got a lot of rain here and things get down, but we've got a lot of marijuana here. But what are your thoughts on microdosing or things like that? I don't drink much really at all, and I'm just looking for something to keep me up and awake and happy. I'm generally happy, but I'm just preparing for the rain, and I know a lot of other folks are. So what do you do to stay so positive and happy? Love your suggestions. Thanks for all you do. Bye.
Virginia took a unexpected last minute curveball.
I'm dying to hear the answer.
It was interesting. I thought about this last night. This every year when the time changes and suddenly it gets dark early, it definitely affects me. And we may be doing away with daylight savings time. I mean, it's in the works for it to go away. But yeah, I think that seasonal disorder, especially, I'm sure if you're in some place like Oregon, like Virginia is, where it's also very rainy and cool. I don't know. What are your thoughts on microdosing, Kevin?
I thought we were going this way, and now we're going this way.
She bypassed the seasonal affective disorder, and she was like, how do we medicate?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
We identified it. What do we take? How do we party our way through this?
I personally do not have seasonal depression disorder. I know lots of people who do. Do you guys experience that?
No.
Yeah. You do though.
I do for sure. It takes a week or so for my body to kind of ease into it and accept
the time change thing for sure.
Yeah.
Like I have felt as soon as it gets dark, I'm like, is it 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
But like winter, gray skies, I'm fine with gray skies.
Well, I'm fine with gray skies, but in winter, I do like snow.
You do.
And it's funny because snow is actually it's light as it reflects. So that actually is kind of nature's way of combating that a little bit.
I've never thought about that.
So I went to school for it, Kevin.
You went to school?
Snow school? You went to snow school?
No, I have a degree in psychology. But basically it's like, but I love snow. So I'm giving some credibility here.
Yeah. We have a doctor on the show.
Kevin and I both have some things we'd like to talk about.
Yeah, why don't you lead with this?
I stopped helping people to tell jokes and help myself, so I'm sorry I can't help you now.
I love snow. I am a fanatic about snow.
I love snow too.
Best friend Lisa Marie and I are both big, we love the snow. She was born, she was actually named after Lisa Marie Presley, but it's not actually her. But yeah, it's exciting. We watch the forecast and
maybe that's why.
Ready.
Maybe because of your seasonal depression, maybe you like the snow because it's a source of light.
I bet that's it. I never knew.
Now to the Virginia's real question.
How does she score? What does she score?
I have never microdosed, and if you're listening and not sure what that is, my understanding is that you take a very small amount of psilocybin mushrooms, just enough. It doesn't get you high. It's just a touch daily, and that does something great for your mood. I've never done that. I have absolutely tripped my balls off.
You've done the hero dose, as you like to call it.
Yes, there's back in the 60s when they were studying this stuff.
With the government.
Yeah. Yes, it's called the heroic dose.
Heroic dose.
Which is enough for you to break from reality. And I have done that. And it was fantastic.
Do you want to tell them where you did that?
I did it in Lydia's house.
I was not there.
Let me just kind of take you.
He'd know.
Yeah.
You were there.
Let me just take you through briefly what
it was the 90s.
It wasn't the 90s. This was like 4 years ago. Okay, so I'd gone on a trip, not like a camping trip, and someone gave me a giant bag of mushrooms. I'd done mushrooms before, but not like a lot, like one or something. And that if you just do one, it's like you're a little drunk or something maybe. But so I looked up on the internet and realized that I had in my hands the heroic dose. And I shoved the whole thing in my mouth and swallowed it.
Ooh.
And for like 30 minutes, it seemed like nothing was going to happen.
Yeah. It always seems that way the first 30 minutes.
And I remember I was laying in the bed in your guest room, and the sheet was a light blue color, I think. And I was like, well, maybe nothing's going to happen. And there was an owl outside that went, hoo, 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 like the owl. And then, but the owl went, hoo, 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 like, and the sheet on the bed turned into like ocean water. Like it was like, but like claymation 3D ocean water. So the owl was like, and I'm like floating in this ocean bed.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It was amazing. I am not officially endorsing anything.
Oh, no.
But if you're going to do it, go big. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think microdosing, like I know a lot of people started microdosing during the pandemic, like a lot of people, especially if they had stressful jobs working from home. But I too have, I went to a state school, so I've done pretty much almost everything. A state school in Michigan, so like there's not much to do. Yeah, I've had a complete conversation with a Scooby-Doo poster. Like I've had some really incredible things happen.
That I've also everything sort of comes alive, like and has a personality. Because yes, I didn't have a conversation with Scooby-Doo, but I did have a conversation with the towels in your bathroom.
Scooby told me to vote.
Yeah,
going home and throwing those away immediately. So I've never done a heroic dose, but in college I did trip on mushrooms. And there are some albums. We would go to my friend's house and we would put something on the television, but turn the volume down and then put on an album. It was a thing. Quadrophenia, The Wall, like those albums that we listen to
Let's
this
do it tonight.
day. Oh my gosh, I'm in. Are like so. That experience with those albums for me is still that time. But I saw, like, I would look up on the ceiling, and they'd either be pink or green letters, like the alphabet, and they would like run on the ceiling. I would see,
I love hearing what people see.
Yeah,
because it's so like personal to everybody.
Yeah,
like everybody's trip is so different. I love hearing that.
And I remember at one point we were like, "Let's take a walk," and
that maybe was a bad
idea.
Yeah,
and we walked down and was like, "Let's go in the grocery store," which we did. And I've been told it took about a half an hour to get me out of the cereal aisle.
Oh yes, the cereal. Oh my God,
Captain Crunch and the Toucan. Can you imagine tricks?
I can imagine.
Funny?
I have been tripping in a grocery store before. Yeah.
No, I'm straight to the cereal aisle. That's the
sweet spot. Yeah.
Well, this is not how I thought this episode was going to go at all.
No.
We went to a different place.
We did.
I love that
good
for us,
place.
Yeah.
Virginia, thank you for sharing and getting us to talk about our trips on mushrooms.
Yes, Virginia, you should microdose.
Yeah. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening to another episode. Thank you, Lydia, as always, for co-hosting the best podcast in existence.
Yes.
Quin Lamar, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Yeah.
Come back and see us sometime.
I'd love to come back sometime. You can come back to my podcast too. The Messy
Tell us about
Show.
what is your podcast?
It's called The Messy Show, and it's a little bit like this, but a little different. I have a crazy co-host, way crazier than Lydia.
Wow.
And we basically answer submissions from people about their messiest stories, like, if how they got fired or how they broke up or how they caught someone cheating. And then we basically just, talk about that and put people on the right path. We're all doing the Lord's work.
We are.
But you can find that on Apple or Spotify, wherever.
The Messy Show.
The Messy Show.
Okay, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to listen.
Please.
Yeah.
Will do.
And as always, you can call the Call Kevin hotline, 323-364-0881. 323-364-0881. And if you're not in the States, you can use that same number on WhatsApp. You can record a voice note and send it to that number. And one final thing, we've launched a Patreon for Call Kevin. If you go to my website, kevinjamesthornton.com, click on podcasts, there is a little bit there you can read about different perks you can get and help support the financial production of Call Kevin.
We've talked about it, and I think we've come up with some fun ideas of things to do and things to share. And
you're going to love it.
Just come be a bigger part of the podcast. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Sure. Yeah. And with that, I think we're done.
Did it. Another one in the can.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.